Welcome everybody to our series on Enterprise Architect Trerado. Today, once again, we're going to be looking at Collaborator and creating dashboards. And in particular, we're going to look at widgets for creating a dashboard, but a particular type of dashboard, which is a list of application components. My name's Scott Hebbard, and as always, I'm joined today by Stephen Maguire that's going to show us how to do some things in Collaborator, how to use widgets, and how to create a list of application components. So welcome, Stephen. Great to have you here today.
Thanks for the introduction, Scott, and always a pleasure to be here. On the screen, you can see Enterprise Architect Trerado, two tools, the Designer and the Collaborator, and we're focusing on looking at Collaborator today. I can simply click on the button here to open Collaborator. I happen to have that open in a tab already, so I'm just going to display that. Now we're looking at a dashboard. This is one that we've built up with a number of widgets on it. We've looked at creating a rich text widget there. We've created some cards. We've done another rich text widget looking at the overview to give someone a description of what your organization or what your project is about. So you could have one for each project if you wanted to, but this is a fictitious case study that illustrates realistic use of the ArchiMate enterprise modeling language in the context of TOGAF framework. It is a example that's published by the Open Group, and we're just using it. We've embellished it to show a lot more of the features. We haven't altered it significantly. We've just added things around it to show some of the other things that we can do with the Trerado tool set to both Designer and Collaborator. So today we are going to be looking at creating application component list. So we looked in previous videos at this one here of the pie chart for process activity status and this other one for stakeholder alignment. We've got a number of other things there, but let's focus on this application component list there, Scott. So you know that I like to do things from first principles, so let's close this repository or open another one. I'm an administrator on the Trerado Collaborator, and I've got particular permissions. I can go up here and say I want to look at a different repository. I want to go into the ArchiSurance video demo. Other users may not have that permission. They may just simply have a single repository that they're looking at. That's quite common. As administrator, I can have those special privileges. We're looking at a dashboard. That's the home dashboard that I'm looking at there. We've created a number of widgets in the past, and we continue to go on through this story. So just quickly, a rich text widget, another rich text one here, the organization overview, a card that's displaying some succinct information, the stakeholders concerned with risk, and we also created some diagram widgets that are linking to diagrams that have been created or imported into the Trerado Designer. We have two widgets here, two chart widgets, a pie chart and a column chart. It's Scott, so you know that's interesting. We can change.
And we're building everything from scratch so that you can see how easy it is.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So let's get started. As always, we're going to go into our edit dashboards. Remember, a user or a user group can have any number of dashboards tailored specific to them. So if you're a security architect, you might have a dashboard that's just dealing with things with security. If you are an application architect, you might just have things to do with the application. We're building up a dashboard here, Scott, that's a kind of a composite one for the purposes of demonstration. Later on in the video series, we'll show how you can create specific dashboards for specific types of architects or types of users, business analysts, security architects, application architects, strategists, things. But let's go in here now, edit our dashboard, and we're going to create a new widget. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, we go add widget, and we're not going to do it from a library. We'll talk about that later. We're going to add a new widget. And now here we are. We've got a list of different different widget types here. So we've looked at rich text before, we've looked at diagrams, charts. We're going to look at reports today, Scott. So we're going to choose reports there, and we're going to hit the plus button there or go down add widget from the bottom. Both have the same effect. So we don't have any reports built up. We're actually going to build one for the first time. So we're not going to base this on a report. Close that one. And we come into the designer configuration, not to be confused with Trerado Designer. This is the design of the actual dashboard widget there. Now, one of the first things we have to do is, this isn't just a pretty picture. This is based on real live information. So we have got now a designer configuration there, and we've got a browser here, Scott, and we can go in and choose things from our repository. So I know the way that this works, and with the ArchiMate language has got motivation is an aspect, and we've got these different layers that are part of the ArchiMate language. We need to go into the application layer, and that's obvious because what we're going to be looking at is application components. There they are there, and let's have a look at that. And we can drop that down. There's a number of applications there. You can see the ArchiMate icon for the application component there. And some of these go down another level. So the ArchiSurance back office suite, there's a number of applications are under there. I'm sure they might be legacy applications, but they're contained under that back office suite. So it's like the back office suite application, logical application has got these specific applications in it as well. Let's just select them all there. I think we'll do that. And we've got those selected. Over here in the specific types one, we're going to say that we want components. Notice that here there's some packages up here, or at least one package there. We don't want that package included in our report, so we're just going to choose component. And then we're going to look at the stereotype. And the stereotype is application component. Now that's the only element that appears under that package heading, application components. If there were more different types of things, you might have application services as well that someone might have included in here for some reason. This would come up and you could limit that there as well. So let's do that, and nothing much else to do. I don't want to select a filter at the moment. I could select a filter with a condition, right, and create one on tag values and say, look, I only want application components of this type.
High priority or something,
or high priority, or that are based in that have got a cloud implementation or a SaaS or a PaaS or whatever I want to do. But let's take the generic path through that now, and let's go next there. And again, if you are a business person or not someone with a technical background or a technical person that doesn't really like looking at SQL, put your sunglasses on, blur your eyes, look away for a minute, no problem. The tool has done the magic for you. It's created this code. You can go and edit yourself. You can put your own code in to do something more specific if you happen to be, a SQL person. Let's save that now, and we've got our widget there. And let's just make that a little bit bigger. So remember here we've got the capability of moving this across the different cells. Resize, it's showing us we have to stick within cells. We can't do half a cell. So that's kind of making our dashboard look professional. Now let's put in a title, application components. And, we might put something in there. We're looking at ArchiSurance, but we can just do that. Now, I just want to use this, this settings here to get the color.
Copy the settings to get the color right, yes.
And you can put different colors in. You might have different regions in there as well, so lots of flexibility there to do that. But let's put that color in there, keep it uniform for the moment. I think we chose white as the text color, and you can see that in the preview there. It's looking good. That's the body of the widget, but our body of the widget's going to be taken up by the list. Let's save that. Everything looks kind of good, Scott. We've saved the configuration of the widget itself, the data and things. Now we just have to save the dashboard. Let's save that.
Yes.
And let's see what happens. Okay. We've got a list of our applications back. Now notice here that there are only a number of them displayed there. Like I can change the number that is displayed to, let's go 20 there. And that will bring down that list there. But my widget's not big enough to display them there, so I have to use the scroll bar. But they're all there now. Remember this one, download to Excel, view all. So we've got these now. Let's have a look at them. They're appear to be in alphabetical order there. Let's select this general CRM system here. We've got those notes. We can click on that and see what the description is. This application system provides the core CRM functionality. So customer relationship management for managing customer information, interactions and relationships across ArchiSurance. The general CRM system serves as the foundational platform for tracking customers' data, sales activity, and service history. If you're a salesperson, this is all bread and butter for you, but someone else that may not know about the application, very useful documentation. So, home and away policy administration, we can look at that again. The system manages the administration of homeowners and travel insurance policies, including policy insurance, modifications, etc. So that documentation is in fact incredibly useful just by itself. You can come in here and just go, well, what am I looking at? So let's look at this CRM. I'm going to click on this one, and you can see now that the properties window has been displayed. This isn't just a properties window. This is much more significant than that. Scott, we've seen this in other videos. We've got a number of different things: discussions, usages, traceability, attributes, operations, references, all sorts of
very comprehensive. Yes.
Yeah. But let's have a look. And I think you pointed out in a previous video, the power and the expression that we're able to achieve in Collaborator comes from the fact that we've got metadata or properties that people have added in addition to the enterprise architect based properties like status and an author and things like that. But you can add other properties that will describe the application component in more detail. So here we have a list of them, and they're grouped here, Scott, into business, and I'll just clip that: business, technical, compliance, finance, and life cycle. So I can collapse all of those, or I can look at them and say, look, let's look at the business one. And this CRM one is listed as strategic classification commodity. Let's just change that and say, look, this is actually it's a utility, and so we can change that property. Business criticality. Well, I think it is business critical. But we could change that again to another property and say it's business operational. And who's the user base? Well, that's interesting, 60 people. Well, let's change that and say, look, we've got a new team that's starting to use this as well, a remote sales team. So it's going to be now 90 people that are using it. Who's the business owner? We haven't defined that, but we can, and that will bring up a ArchiMate actor, that like a business actor. We haven't defined that. The duplication status. So this is a really key one, Scott, that one of the things that you can do with this is to look at this and say, hey, look at all these applications that we've got, but we've had mergers. If you look back at the dashboard and you go back to this guy here, you'll see that there was a merger between these different organizations. And we can see now that, that merger, if anyone knows about mergers and acquisition, it creates overlap of application functionality.
And if you can identify that overlap and remove it, you're going to save the company money. So
exactly, Scott.
That takes this storytelling dashboard from a nice story to something that can make an organization money and save them money. Yeah,
exactly, Scott. So very significant. We've got all these things now. We might just filter those out, and then let's collapse the business one, and let's look at the technical one now. Say, look, what's the sourcing model? Was it bespoke, composable, open source, partner built? COTS, we've got commercial off the shelf selected there. Again, technical owner, we haven't set that yet, but opportunities for the federated users to come and set this technical fit here of 3, right? So it's a decent, not such a good technical fit. The type is SaaS. So lots of different things there, Scott. Deployment models, technical health. There's a technical debt there. Compliance. All of these things here. What's the data classification? It's internal. We don't want this stuff going out to other people. We could make that confidential if we wanted to. Risk rating high. We don't want people getting a list of our customers. Security classification. Top secret maybe there. SLA, service level agreement, then financial, and so it goes on. What's the annual cost? What's the total cost of ownership? Who's the vendor? What's the licensing cost? And what's our current lifecycle status? Now, the lifecycle hasn't been set here, Scott. We're going to set these when we do. We look at another type of chart, which is going to be a chart to display that life cycle in a roadmap. So you can see now that that's very useful. One thing that's to observe, Scott, is that I, as an administrator, I've got actually access to all of these things, and someone might, like an enterprise architect, might have access to them. I can.
What if someone else came along that wasn't an admin? And you wanted to give them access to less things, like there's some things they're not allowed to look at, for example.
Scott, that's a great question. So let's explore that. That's a very interesting question, and I can decide whether I've got not not just the viewing permission, but the update permission. So I've got both update and viewing permission on these particular properties. Let's do something else, Scott. Let's launch another browser session. I'm going to do that up here, and then I'll drag it onto the monitor so that the audience can see it. I'll go expand on that one here. Let's go and log into this again. We'll log in as a person called Helmut Booth from Archi Insurance, right? And I believe that they are interested in, security and things like that. So let's have a look. So here we are in Collaborator. Let's just click on that and open up Collaborator. And you can see up in the top right-hand corner, I'm now using
different profile picture.
Different profile there, and I'll just open that up. That's Helmut Booth, some information at membership group, security management. You can see that. So you can immediately see member of Archi Insurance. Helmut has access to both the Archi Insurance and the Archi Insurance video. He's a security architect over here, and a security management over here is the group that he belongs to. We've got some security settings, notification, and change the profile picture. Let's just go back in the browser then and come back in here and look at the Archi Insurance video demo. So, like I said, Helmut is a little bit unusual. He's got access to both those repositories. Let's close that one down for a minute, and let's look here at our list here. Now, I think we looked at the general CRM system. So Helmut has got access to this dashboard. He may have a different dashboard. So Helmut may have a different dashboard, but I wanted to show you this one that he's coming into. And let's go again here, 10 there. Let's go for 20. And let's scroll down and go to our CRM one there that we looked at. Again, that pops up. And in answer specifically to the question that you asked, Scott, Helmut doesn't have all the permissions that I had. He only has these permissions: data classification, risk rating, security classification.
So there's cost and all sorts of things that you had access to as an admin that are no longer available. And I think that makes sense, because there are some staff that you don't want to be touching cost or some of those other high priority elements. So and there are two options there, Scott. I could have decided to display some other information for Helmut so I've configured as an administrator, I've configured Helmut's access, but it's not just Helmut's access, it's anyone that's part of the security group, that are users that are part of the security group so the security management group. So it's not just Helmut, it's anyone else, right, that is part of that group that can see this. But I might give them, Helmut does have permission to change this now, right? But he may come across one of these that I've set just as a display one and not a change one. So it may be that he doesn't have access to be able to change those things, but I could display them. So you've got a lot of fine-grained control over what they see and what they can edit. Which
exactly, and the big picture is remember the example. People a little bit can be a little bit time poor. You can federate out the responsibility of keeping up to date these applications. So you could have someone that just has specific applications in their particular area. So you could say, look, these are the applications to do with policy management, for example, and you could say, look, the policy team is responsible for looking after that information. Or you could slice it a different way and say, hey, let's give them access to all the applications, but it's the security managers, and we're just going to give them access to a number of the different properties just to deal with security. And so by federating out that responsibility, you're making sure that your information is up to date, and your enterprise architecture team has got the time to do other things, to create more dashboards. And when people are using this, they will see it. It may not be that they set out to necessarily to go, look, I'm going to sit here for the next 2 hours and update all these applications. It may be just that they're using it and they're going, look, this is my Archi Insurance mobile app. And they go, look, well, that's interesting. This is unspecified. I know exactly what this is. It's absolutely, it's absolutely an internal thing. We don't want other people doing it. What's the risk rating? Well, it's not really high, because we're not displaying, lots of information on security classification. Let's say it's public because we're doing some things. SLA, it's not, again, the it's going to be just, let's just say it's silver. So again, this is all about both people being able to get the information, but make sure the information is
up to date.
Up to date. And just one thing that's important to understand, Scott, is that we have some organisations that start getting incredibly ambitious. They've got 4,000 enterprise applications, and some may have 160 pieces of metadata that are on those applications. When is the application most used? What type of cloud have we got, and all sorts of different things. Don't be too ambitious about that. If you do the maths on that cross product, 160 times 4,000, you get a very, very large number. And I can tell you, you won't be going out and having a drink on Friday night. You'll be sitting here updating your repository. So it's important to have just the information that you have the capacity, or your federated team has the capacity to manage. You can build it up as traction occurs, but don't start off too ambitious, right? So that's just a little I think pearl of wisdom that's come from the experience of working with lots of organizations and seeing which ones are really successful with this and which ones are staying back on Friday night to keep their applications up to date, Scott.
Yes. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for showing us another dashboard widget, and this time we're able to list application components, and we also kind of veered off and saw how people with different security settings that are in different groups can see different parts of the dashboard and can perhaps see some parts and edit others, and it gives you a great deal of kind of fine-grained control over what information gets displayed and what information can be edited.
Yeah, Scott, and just a little thing, I put this into to view all mode, and I've got an option here to edit there, and I've got the columns there. I don't find I've been the author of most of these, and they're all components. Let's just turn off a couple of those things. We'll turn off author and type, I think, there. But now we've got those in a list, and now I can turn on edit there, and I'm able to edit these things in situ in rows. So that's just something in passing. But back to you, Scott.
No worries. And once again, it just shows you the power and flexibility of these reports. And some people would be very familiar with this format, having come from a background of perhaps Excel, and would find it very easy to modify things in this format. So thank you for that. It's been great to see. For our customers that are watching today, if you want to find out more about Enterprise Architect Trerado, you can visit sparxsystems.com, or you can visit the Sparx Systems YouTube channel to view hundreds of videos on Sparx Systems products and learn more about how to create other types of dashboard widgets, everything from cards to rich text formats to diagrams and much, much more. If you want to reach out to Stephen, his contacts and credentials are in the video description below. And we hope you join us in future for many more videos that talk about Enterprise Architect Trerado and follows on from our series on Collaborator and how to use Collaborator. So thank you, Stephen, for showing us how easy it is to create these dashboards. It's been great to learn about application components and how we can have them listed and how powerful it is. So thank you.
Always a pleasure, Scott.